Over the past few years, gaming developers have dived into the world of sci-fi horror games. Following the success of Alien Isolation and Dead Space, players have enjoyed following intense and gripping gameplay and compelling stories, making their experience much more replayable. Fallen Leaf Studios' new title, Fort Solace, is no exception. To be released in the summer of 2023, this video will summarise what this highly anticipated titles will bring to players. Bling. Listen guys, I'm still new to this. I hope you're all well and I hope you're ready for this new video. Fort Solace is a single-player, story-focused third-person thriller set in 2080 on Solis Planum, at an isolated mining post on the far side of Mars. The player will be in control of the protagonist Jack Leary, played by Roger Clark, most known for his role as Arthur Morgan in Red Dead Redemption 2. Jack Leary is an engineer on the base. After following an alarm call from Fort Solace, he believes that this is a system malfunction. However, as he goes to check, he quickly discovers that this is no malfunction, as pulse-racing, adrenaline-filled events transpire. Following Jack along on his journey is companion Jessica, played by Julia Brown, known for her roles in television series such as World on Fire and Shetland. Jessica is much younger and more intelligent than Jack, and is said to bring humour to the game, to bring a bit of a light to the game's more serious tone. Studio director of Fallen Leaf, James Tinsdale, states that they wanted Jack and Jessica's relationship to be inspired by that of Henry and Delilah in Campo Santos' Firewatch. Despite their different personalities and skills, their relationship is strong and is set to be the main attraction to the game. Finally, to complete the game's leading trio, we have Wyatt Taylor, played by Troy Baker, most known for his roles as Joel in The Last of Us, Higgs in Death Stranding, and Booker DeWitt in Bioshock Infinite. Wyatt is a doctor on the base of the Planum. He is deeply passionate and driven to find the underlying cause of what's happening on Fort Solace. Tinsdale says that he wants the player to empathise with Wyatt. He probably is the most complex character in the game. He is extremely strict and by the book, but he's not an antagonist. As previously told, the game is set on an isolated mining post on the far side of Mars. The base is being utilised so players can experience and fully explore the world. Of course, like in any game, there will be some puzzles to solve as you navigate throughout the area, and you will need to gain access into some restricted places. The fort has been split into 9 sections. Each is set 1 or 2 levels below ground, which will be daunting for players due to the dark, suspenseful corridors. Then of course, players can go above ground to the surface level, where there will be a dust storm, which will worsen as the game progresses. Jack will rely on his multi-tool he wears on his wrist, sending alerts that will help the player progress throughout the story. While the player explores, there will be lots of mini-games to complete. Whether it be hacking a door or surging locks, there will be no shortage of things to do. One of the things that Jack will need to fix and upgrade throughout the game is the lunar terrain vehicle, which will be essential for navigation on the surface. As stated by James Tinsdale, they didn't want Jack to be this super soldier. They wanted him to be an engineer. And although he isn't a soldier and doesn't have any weapons or fancy armour, it doesn't mean that he's incapable of escaping particularly harrowing situations. The way the player wants to progress and how they want Jack to be throughout the game is entirely up to the player. The game will follow a path determined by the player, and how the game is played will impact the progressing story and of course the ending. Overall, the game has a lot of potential. The gameplay sounds interesting, especially since Jack doesn't have any weapons and they don't play a huge part in his character. The casting is outstanding, having names such as Roger Clark, a prominent figure following the success of Red Dead Redemption 2, and Troy Baker, one of the most well-known video game actors. Although Julia Brown is not well known within the video game world, from what I've seen in the trailers, her role sounds essential to the story, and she appears to have heaps of talent. I'm ridiculously excited for this game, and I know I'm taking more of a personal ending to this, but I think it needs to have a personal thing, and I really look forward to seeing what this game has. Fort Solis is set to release in the summer of 2023 to PC and PlayStation 5 players. With all that has been shared and promoted by the cast and crew from the game, it looks to be one of the summer's most highly anticipated releases.